Hello everyone, this is Club 10M Plus's exciting new podcast that's here for you. We are all about stories, new developments and learning about individuals. Our hope is that you will join us every week to hear about our distinguished guests. We hope to inspire you, bring you laughter and make you reflect. Our guests come from all walks of life and primarily they want to share their stories. Not sure about you, but I love a good story. So Club 10M Plus have devoted their time to creating these podcasts, to sharing great ideas and stories and much more. So tune in every week to make sure that you don't miss out. It could be you next week. Want to know more? We want to hear your stories. So sign up and be our next guest. I want to welcome Sekhar today on Pitch to the Panther. It is an absolute privilege to meet somebody like you, Sekhar. The story, your life has been really, really impressive. And without further ado, I want to welcome you and I want you to take the story away and tell us. So we're going to talk about the things that are important to us as entrepreneurs, as philanthropists. Sekhar, over to you.
Thank you, Krista, for giving me this opportunity. And I'm very honored to be on this podcast and talk to you about things that are important to me in my life and what have defined me as an individual. If I look at the two areas that I'm recognized and I feel more proud about today is being a successful entrepreneur and a philanthropist. And these two, as often people have the debate of, do you put them in a serial fashion or do you put them in a parallel track? And to me, it has always been not even a choice. It is always the fact that this is a parallel track. You cannot have these serialized and say that I'm going to be a philanthropist after I become an entrepreneur, or I'm going to be an entrepreneur, a philanthropist, and then become an entrepreneur. It doesn't go that way. It has to be part and parcel of your DNA as you grow up. And in my journey, when I started the philanthropy part in 2003, I was just a regular employee in a company, nothing, no frills, normal guy. But the thought process was that if you make $1, you give a penny. If you don't have a penny, give a hug, right? Whatever it is that you can make a difference in other people's life. It has to be.
That's kind of going back to you're making a difference in people's lives, but that comes from the heart, surely.
Absolutely. It has to be something you have to innately feel the passion to give it to someone, right? And when you innately have that urge to give something, you're not looking at inside yourself saying, what do I have, right? It's not about what you have, it's what you can give. And that's what is important, right?
So what, to the detriment of you? So I can give a hug because that doesn't cost me anything. But when I have to divide my money up and I have to give you some of it, then what? Then what happens? Do I have enough for me? Is that a philanthropist, or where are we going? How are we doing this?
Yeah, no, it's a great question because I think, see, it's a human mindset that you will never have enough if that's what we're going after, right? You could be a billionaire in the world and you can still feel that, oh, I wish I could own the moon, right? You will never have enough. But if you have the mindset of, I'm going to share what I have and I'm going to make some trade-offs, right? So it could be that, for example, at that time for me, it was like, we go to these movies, and I'm come from an Indian background, so we have movies is part and parcel of movies, and dining, eating out is part and parcel of our DNA. And I felt like, okay, it's not end of the world if I don't see one movie or have that one additional eat out, right? I could give that, right? And that's kind of how we started saying, if I can spare $25 a month that I would have spent on that one, it's not the end of the life. And that's the kind of the mindset at the end of the day is there is never enough in the world for somebody who is greedy and hungry. And you got to change that mindset. I think it all comes from that.
So we're coming from a mindset of giving, being able to know that you can give without fearing the lack of having yourself. So, a lot of people talk about, well, I can give to charity when I've got 20 million in the bank. I can give to charity when I've made my first 100 million, whatever it is. up until that point, they're kind of like keeping their money. So in your journey, though, when you started and realized that you could actually make a difference with this $1, how did that make you feel? Where did that take you on this journey? And
Yeah,
what's become of that?
that's an interesting question because, going back to your analogy of giving 1 million when I have 100 million, that is basically you're giving away something that you don't even feel the pinch of it, right? And when you actually make a sacrifice on your end and you're giving it, you have a lot more connection to that dollar, right? Even if it is $1, you feel that emotional connection to it. Whereas just writing a check of 1 million when I have 1 billion is not even like registering in my mind. I'm just doing it as an activity, right? It's not emotionally connected. To me, that has given me the leaps and bounds of strength, is that connective tissue of helping people. But there is also a duality to that. That's something that I always believed in, is you have to remember all the people who gave you a hand, but you have to forget all the people who you gave your hand to, right? Because or else it will get to your head, that ego is going to build in saying that I helped these many people, right?
Yeah, now we touched on a very, very like sensitive subject here. Ego. Ego is huge. Ego is what drives us. Ego can kill us. Ego can consume us. And it's also really interesting that you came up with the idea. Well, it's not an idea, but you've come up with that thought that whatever I give, forget. Whatever I've been given, remember, because that's part of that whole gratitude process of saying thank you. And the ability to say thank you, because that you just don't know when the next handshake's coming your way. And it's all of that, isn't it? And you talked about emotion. I mean, I want to touch on that. That's huge. That emotional tear. And it is emotions that drive us. It's emotions that get us to do what we do and get us into that mode of, well, actually, I need to help somebody today. How can I help someone? What can I do to make a difference to their life? And you're right. $1 does make a difference to somebody. And I mean, I understand that profoundly. So emotions, let's go there. Emotions that drive us, because you're emotionally attached to this $1 that you've just given away. Was it a good emotion that you need to give away, or is it bad emotion? So these are all interconnected as far as I'm concerned. But yeah, what's your take on that?
Yeah, so I think, I mean, there's two parts of it. One is the emotion of detachment of giving something that I want to do it. It feels good for me to go to a movie, but I'm giving away that emotion to somebody else who's needing that dollar that could go much further for them in their life, right? That's one aspect of that emotion. The second one is that having an emotion with no face. And what I mean by that is, I don't want to have a face of the person who is receiving that dollar, because then that makes a direct connection to that person and it becomes a very sticky connection. And I don't want that. I want the emotion to have a faceless emotion where I can multiply it and scale it, because now I'm associating that with the need somewhere in the world where I can do some help. And it's not one person, it could be n number of people, but they all are connected with that one connective tissue of there is a need that I'm trying to address. And that's the emotion I want to connect with, not the individual. Because again, it goes back to the ego. When you connect with the individual, that's when the ego starts building, because you now have a face to that emotion, right? I want it to be a faceless emotion, if it makes any sense.
That's interesting. I've never heard it that way. I hear people talk about, I need to give money to this, I need to give money to that. But you're right, it could be an individual that's attached to that, and you're not doing it for the individual. Say, a heart surgeon, and the patient needs a heart. Well, the only person that can give him a heart is the surgeon, but it's that need to help the surgeon do the operation. So you're paying for that surgeon to do it, but yet the patient still needs a heart. And the person that gives the heart's emotionally attached. So, I mean, it's a poor analogy, but I think you get the workaround, that you might have given the money for the operation, but collectively you've given the money to the hospital who's been able to do the operation, as opposed to the doctor who's doing the operation.
Exactly.
Get it? So having that whole need and emotion that drives you to do that, we're in a very, very good place as you would say, philanthropy and how it takes its form. So relating that back to when you started work, did you ever think that one day this is where you'd end up?
Great question, because it's a thought that crossed my mind as recently as the day before yesterday, when my wife and I were awarded the Lord and a Lady of the county for all the philanthropic work that we've been doing over the 20 years. And the thought that crossed my mind is, when you raise your kids, every day you don't think about what is that after 20 years they're going to give you something back, or where they will end up. You just put one day at a time and you take care of them. And over a period of time, all of those kind of cumulatively add to something, and you feel proud of when they graduate, or when they become something in their lives. And that was the feeling that came to me, was that, it was not just one moment, or it was not one thing that led to that culmination of that recognition. It was more of brick by brick every day, that the work that we did translated into something. And that's what I feel proud about. And if anything that I would encourage everybody to look at is that, don't look for that one big moment of revelation or truth that will say, okay, this is going to happen, a big bang. Things don't happen in that way. It's just always a trickle effect of it is what creates that big bang. And you have to start somewhere, and don't think about the end. Just start somewhere, think about, and then every day put in your effort, do what you like, and eventually something will happen. I'm not saying that it's going to be a big result, but more often than not, it translates into something good. And if nothing, on a daily basis, you get the satisfaction of that you're doing something that you feel good about.
Wow, that's powerful. I was going to say, give us a takeaway, but that is amazing. So, congratulations on your county. Is this Lord and Lady, or is it? I'm not sure how they say
it. Yeah,
Lord
and Lady of Fairfax County.
There you go, Lord and Lady. Now you've been speaking to Lord of Fairfax County. I'm just going to say, we've not met Lady. However, on that powerful note, every day do something that over a lifetime, you just don't know where that's going to end up. And I really want to thank you for your time today, and I appreciate it. And I'm sure I'll have you back, because the lords and ladies don't get away with nothing. They have to come on and tell us what else they've been up to. So I appreciate your time, and thank you for everything today. Hello, everyone. This is Club 10M Plus's exciting new podcast that's here for you. We are all about stories, new developments, and learning about individuals. Our hope is that you will join us every week to hear about our distinguished guests. We hope to inspire you, bring you laughter, and make you reflect. Our guests come from all walks of life, and primarily they want to share their stories. Not sure about you, but I love a good story. So Club 10M Plus have devoted their time to creating these podcasts, to sharing great ideas and stories, and much more. So tune in every week to make sure that you don't miss out. It could be you next week. Want to know more? We want to hear your stories, so sign up and be our next guest.